Hello, we restart with Google architecture of Google file system. So it is basically scalable distributed file system for large distributed data intensive applications. So it also fault tolerant and high aggregated performance for large number of clients with the help of Google services or for research and development purpose. Then it is large cluster to the well-known till date with the terabytes and hundreds of storage working across at thousands of disks working together, thousands of machine working together for hundreds of client demanding for the same request. It was based upon the big file developed by Larry Page and Sergey Brin. Then files are basically divided into 64 megabyte chunks. If you upload a large size of big file, then it will be broken into blocks or chunks of 64 megabytes. Then GFS is not implemented in the kernel of an operating system, but it is actually based upon the user space libraries like in Java. It is GFS is not like normal Linux based on kernel. GFS is based on user space library, means libraries like Java or some Python library type of thing was there to expose and use its feature. Then we'll see Google Content Management. So Google Content Management is a backend of Google which actually manages the web information, and it also provides marketing features and social media features. So all these things which Google provides, it manages on Google Content Management System, and it provides for user also means cloud user to use the Google Content Management for their own purpose. Then it can be personalized for an individual user, means this Google Content Management can be used by common user of cloud for its own purpose. And then Google Cloud Platform was there for doing all these things, means it is a platform as a service kind of thing which has different components and different services for content management system. Then Google also does load balancing to support large size of traffic by multiple routing to the multiple devices or multiple machines, so that it will be better in terms of availability. And basically it does load balancing with the help of zones, means different countries or different locality. Then Google Cloud DNS, means domain name server, was provided for robust domain name server management. So Google also provide Google DNS for the website handling, means you can share the link, you can share the some content, image or video. You need to store, if you are making your own website, then you need to have some pictures or some videos over that website. So basic URL, means that domain will be provided by Google, means Google site slash your name slash that image, Google site slash your name slash page name. So all these things are being resolved with the help of Google Cloud DNS. Then it could be static as well as dynamic. In the static content, it actually stores cloud storage. So the simple file uploading, file downloading, video uploading, video downloading, some image uploading, image downloading. So it would be like a static content management over the cloud storage. Then the second one is dynamic content management, which is based upon Cloud SQL implementation. So SQL was there, means you can put some request query for uploading some of the columns and rows management, and then you can manage those columns and rows for having different type of data sets in those column and rows. Then next, you have this kind of architecture for Google Content Management. So there are different devices like iOS, Android, and laptop devices that goes to the load balancer first, Google Load Balancer, which delegates its load to the zone-based compute engine for providing that content or for processing that content. So inside that compute engine, there's auto scaling feature, and there's content management for the server as well. And then there are two type of content management, static and dynamic. Static was named as cloud storage and dynamic was named as Cloud SQL, and then it actually user can put his data and then publish it, and then the published data could be seen by any user with that particular link. And next, Google Cloud also provides Hadoop platform for putting up MapReduce over Google Cloud platform. So infrastructure for the MapReduce using Hadoop was provided by Google Cloud Platform. Then it provides computation storage space and also provide computing power, computing CPU and large size of disk storage over cloud to input and output some of the tasks and jobs with MapReduce. And then Hadoop has master and which includes Hadoop SDFS name node and also have MapReduce job tracker. All these features were provided by Google Cloud Platform. Then next is node in the cluster. So there are several nodes which were being added by the client could be managed in the backend by the Google Cloud Platform. And those nodes will help to run the MapReduce task and deploy it over the various data nodes, and thus that user can do MapReduce task using Task Tracker, analyzing all the process which is working in the backend of the Google Cloud with the Task Tracker. Then next, backing up the storage through Google Cloud storage. So Google Cloud basically helps to do storage as well for backing up purpose and for uploading the backup data and downloading the backup data with some connectors of Hadoop so that you can start processing MapReduce on those storage. Then SDFS can be used over this Google Cloud storage. Next, this compute engine was there for this Hadoop, and compute engine is basically having processor and RAM and the various size of disk was allocated, assigned and managed by these computational power. So there could be again two type of input data and the second type was output data. So there are two type of data. First you do some input from the same Google Cloud storage and you write your data, means output your data to the same Google Cloud storage on the Google Cloud platform. And what you do on the Google compute engine, you do MapReduce task processing, which would be managed by the Google Cloud Hadoop platform. And this is basically helps you to avoid some of the administrative level of Hadoop management. So Hadoop installation with on the multiple machine and then managing it is really tricky and difficult type of thing. So Google do it on behalf of that client, and client only needs to assign some map reduce task over some stored data, that is input data, and after running the map reduce task it actually gets output data from the Google Cloud platform. Next, this is even more advanced form of computing and retrieving data, which is Google App Engine. So Google App Engine is basically web application for processing a large size of data and retrieving output in form of some web application, website or some Android apps or on some Android app or iOS app. So web application, and in backend it is Google App Engine which actually compute and stores. So it is a simple development platform. It is a Google App Engine is a basically a platform as a service for development and deployment of web applications. As always, it is also auto scaling, means if user number of user increases, so the number of machine would also be increased by Google for computational power increment. Then it integrate various features for distributed in-memory cache. In-memory processing was being done with the this Google App Engine in the distributed fashion. Then it assigns some task and in some queue or some one by one process, and then it this Google App Engine stores data, and then it is also robust for creating application, means it is quick and very easy to create such web application over Google App Engine. Then next, for applications written in Java, Python, PHP, Go. So it is available on different languages like Java, Python, PHP, and Go. So you can write and deploy your application on any of these language. If you are comfortable with Python, you write on Python. If you are comfortable with Java, then you write application on Java and put and deploy it. Then it supports multiple application versions which support A/B testing. So you deploy your version and you deploy multiple version of your application and then keep on testing whether that application is working properly or not. So testing feature is also available with this Google App Engine. Then Memcache is an in-memory cache to provide extremely high speed access to information cache by the web server, authentication and account information. So Memcache is a type of in-memory cache, and in so that in-memory cache is basically fastest till now, means it is one of the fastest processing way that you don't retrieve data from disk, but you store some important data in memory, means in the secondary memory ram. In ram itself you are storing some data, important data for processing. That is mem cache. And then what it does, it provides high speed because you already kept your data on ram or secondary storage, and it directly processes from ram. So it becomes high speed, and then information being cached at various web servers. So all these things provide fast authentication and account information, and various type of important tasks could be speed up. The next, task queue provide a mechanism to offload longer running tasks to backend server, freeing the front end server to service new user requests. So that's the goal of the load balancer. So what load balancer does, load balancer basically assigns some of the long running tasks to the backend server, means the server which is not going to be used frequently by the user, and the front end server was assigned, will be free and assigned to the new user request. And longer running task is running in backend, and newer request and newer user request will go to the front end server. Then load balancer, Google load balancer does all these things. Google load balancer which provides transparent load balancing to the application. So it is a one of the fair medium of Google for doing load balancing, and it is transparent, means it explain, means it provides details how the Google was managing this load and processing the task. So all these being done by Google load balancer. Then next, Google Cloud DNS is used to manage the domain name server for user. So as we discussed, Google Cloud actually does provide domain name server for that web application that you are going to deploy on Google App Engine. So this domain names was managed by Google Cloud DNS, and you can provide that link of web application to all your user, and that link could be used as an web application for processing of your information or visualizing, viewing some of your detail by some client, your client. So you are basically platform as a service client in this Google App Engine, and Google is the platform as a service provider. So what service it provides? It provides Google App Engine service, means Google App Engine is a platform as a service. And next, what you are a PaaS client, means platform as a service client, and you are deploying your web application on top of Google App Engine, and your user is actually software as a service client. So your user is going to see your web application, and he is a software as a service client. Next, web application on the Google App Engine. So this is the architecture of Google Cloud for managing that app engine. Basically, it does Memcache for important tasks, which is going to be frequent. So it does those frequent and important tasks on Memcache, means in memory, distributed in memory for efficient and fast response to the user. So various user could be there with Android, iOS, or any laptop based with Linux or Windows can be used for the application. And Google Load Balancer is the first entry point which manages the load, and Google Domain Name Server is the link provider, means it provides some domain, means initial part of the link was being provided by the Google Domain Name Server, and you provide your initial link or the whole link of your content of web application to the to your client. Next, this task of the long running task is being provided to task queue, and that task queue give it to the backend server, and backend server will actually process the whole thing in the backend as a batch process. Thus it provides auto scaling, means speed up of that delegation will speed up the whole thing in the front end. Then it also, here also there are two types of content management: static content with cloud storage, and dynamic content management using cloud SQL and cloud data store. Next, so Google App Engine, or the application deployment over Google App Engine with could be done with the help of Google Web Toolkit. So Google Web Toolkit is freely available, which has very high-end APIs and very useful APIs, and you can develop and deploy Google app with the help of Google Web Toolkit. So you develop your web application with the help of Google Web Toolkit, and you that web toolkit will help you to deploy as well. So what is GWT? GWT is basically API to design rich web applications. So these applications could be deployed over Google App Engine. What it supports: GWT supports a string-like framework in Java, and basically the developer can write web application without writing HTML or JavaScript. So it provides drag and drop type of features, and drag and drop will help to avoid usage of HTML or JavaScript. So on other side, you can also write some HTML or JavaScript code for deployment purpose. GWT is a development environment similar to the web server code. So you have seen many servers like Glassfish or some other server like Glassfish. So it is similarly, GWT also provides deployment environment and development environment as well. So GWT is basically desktop based application type of thing, and you can upload your web application developed on your desktop to the Google App Engine with the help of Google Web Toolkit. So Google Web Toolkit is basically a development environment for web server, web application that could be deployed over Google App Engine. Next, GWT also helps in debugging, refactoring, and various type of unit testing of that web application for web client. So there are various features: development, debugging, refactoring, unit testing at GWT. And next, GWT also provides some host mode, means GWT provides a so-called host mode. It will be running that web application on local host as well before deploying it over Google App. Once you develop the application by testing it over local host, then you can push your that application to the Google App Engine for final deployment. This local host, or so-called host mode, will allow and help for developer to debug the Java code or various type of coding that you do, as well as web mode will help to execute the GWT generated, means the code that you are developing for a web application. You can test it over your own laptop or machine itself, and then you, after, if that web application is correct, you deploy it over Google App Engine. Next, Google uses GWT for its for its site. So Google actually also uses some of the features like Google Docs, Google AdSense, and Wallet aligned with this GWT. So Google Web Toolkit also have some of the features of Google Docs, Google AdSense, and Google Wallet combined with the Google Web Toolkit. So Other sites looking like this were like gogrid.com, and various other websites could be there, and you can check those websites similar to the Google App Engine for Google web application deployment for your own web application. Next,